Welcome to the Million Dollar Speaker Podcast. Hi, I'm Arvee Robinson. I'm the Master Speaker Trainer, International Speaker, and author of Speak Up, Get Clients, and your host for the Million Dollar Speaker Podcast. Now, this is a very unique podcast because this is a podcast where we talk about how do you become a $1 million speaker, how do you reach millions of people, and how do you make millions doing it. And so my guests on the show have all been speakers, all great speakers, type A speakers, and they're all going to share with you how you can become that $1 million speaker. And today I have a very special guest. Talk about a $1 million speaker. This woman has been speaking for many, many years, and not only speaking it, but also teaching it and doing TEDx talks. So let me introduce to you Rosalyn Kahn. Rosalyn is a college professor in public speaking. She is an instructor at the Los Angeles City College. She's also an author, international motivational speaker, and business owner. Several years ago, she attended her first TEDx conference in Pasadena. She was immediately drawn into TEDx fever and has given 3 TEDx talks, presentations, and coached many other people on how to do it as well. Rosalyn has performed on both sides of the microphone as professional speaker on 3 TEDx talks, international speaker, interviewed on numerous radio shows, TV stations, podcasts, and hosted red carpets. She's published 3 books. Random Acts of Kindness Are Changing the World by Solutions Press, released on Amazon. Her second, Roses and Dogs, How to Reduce Stress in Today's Troubled Times, was released on Kindle in 2017. This book focuses on the fast-paced life we all live and finding to appreciate the simple things. Her most recent book, A Message for Tomorrow's Leaders, published in December 2020, helping youth stay committed to their education. So please help me welcome today to the microphone, Rosalyn Kahn. Yes, Rosalyn Kahn. Yay! All right, Rosalyn. Welcome, Rosalyn. Welcome. All right, welcome. We're so excited to have you on the show today. And I know everybody's excited to hear all about your TEDx talks. But first, the first question is, how do you become a $1 million speaker? In other words, what are the characteristics that you have found in $1 million speakers?
Well, to me, a $1 million speaker has to have one single idea that they're talking about. You know, you talk about that speaker trainer. That's your gift of what you speak to the world and how to do that. You also need to be, secondly, a person who is authentic and true. Because people can feel an amateur when an amateur is out there. And I think the third thing is willing to do whatever it takes to get there. I mean, you know, I'll give you a classic example. Yesterday, I was stalled because I couldn't print on the printer. Then I didn't have access to the internet.
Ooh.
And I was, you know, what is a person to do when you are at loss with all technology? So when it came back up and it was operational around 6 or 7, I was up to like 1:15 in the morning. And they're like, Roslyn, what are you doing up so late? Well, you had to make up for lost time, you know? You got to do whatever it takes to get it.
I love that. I love that. So do whatever it takes. Be authentic and true to yourself. And what was the other one, the first one?
Have one single solitary message.
Have one single solitary message, that unique message that is given to you. Excellent. Thank you so much for that. Now, Rosalyn, I know you've been teaching public speaking for years at a college. So tell us a little bit about that, and then tell us about your business that you have today.
Okay, well, currently I'd like to begin with how I got to where I am today. And originally I was in Toastmasters, which is a professional speaking group that I know that you're part of. And I did that for almost as long as I've been teaching. And I got to a point where I decided it's this way or the highway. And I transitioned from Toastmasters into becoming a college professor. And I've done that for a number of years. And, as classes come, as classes go, I was involved in an organization called American Society Training and Development, and they introduced me to the TED world. And I just gobbled it up and said, I want to be on that stage. And so, you set your mind and you make it out there. And I coached about, 10 different people and got them up and on their way, and then decided it was my turn to make it out and happen. And now I work with people who have that same dream and have that same aspiration and want to make that come true, of helping them to prepare those talks and getting them to where they want to be.
Nice. Now, you did 3 TEDx talks. So
Yeah, one wasn't enough for me.
One wasn't enough. That's okay. But tell us, what were your topics? Because you talked about $1 million speakers. First thing is that unique topic. So what was your topics for the TEDx talks?
Well, you hit it upon it when you said that you're a teacher. My passion is really teaching in the college classroom. And so it was called Language Comes to Life. And it was taking my students to the theater and how that changed the way they learned English.
Ooh.
And my favorite story was one day I would do anything and everything to bring them their English skills up to the right level. And one of those things is we would show videos. And one video that we showed was 12 Angry Men. And in a 2.5-hour class, you don't have enough time to see from beginning to end. And so my students had gone to the library because they wanted to know before we got to the show what went ahead and happened. And it was just a phenomenal thing. And she even talked about it in her video that was on that TED speech, and she got an award, and it was just beautiful. That was the first one. The second one was something that was also near and dear to my heart. It was called Coming Around the Curve, and it was about my battle with scoliosis and how that made me a more compassionate human being. And that was just unbelievable, because I think if you've never been an outsider, it teaches me what I know it is to be an outsider, and how it is to be sidecast on the sidelines, and people just having different ideas of who you are and what you're all about, and making these judgments, and how to successfully come about it. And then the third one was breaking cultural barriers and how everyone can make a difference in the world. So those were those exciting talks, and that's what it was.
Excellent. Now, if someone wants to do a TED Talk, because TED Talks are different than a business talk. I teach people how to do business talks, and I teach them how to do stories too, but TED Talks are different. Like, I'm not going to go into a TED Talk about public speaking necessarily. TED Talks
No.
are more stories. TED Talks are more personal. So how would someone that's a business speaker transition and do a topic based on something that will fit and be worthy of a TED Talk?
Well, I'm gonna go on a review that I recently read, an article by a dear friend and mentor of mine. His name is John Bates, and he talks about the biggest mistake that he ever made in life.
Ooh.
And so let's learn from what you don't do. He
Okay.
says what you don't do is you don't talk about your profession.
Bingo.
I mean, it's like I was talking about teaching, but I wasn't recruiting people to come and teach at LA City College or saying
That,
what the degree was or whatever. So he had made a talk where he looked at the hottest thing on technology. And number two is you don't cram.
what do you
I
mean
mean,
by that? What do you mean you don't cram?
well, a lot of people when they study for a test or they've got a big assignment, they wait until the night before and they put it all together and they punch it out. I wrote a newsletter that will be soon be released, and I said, we don't wing a wedding.
That's right.
They all have rehearsal dinners. Well, just like you have a rehearsal dinner, you got to have a rehearsal speech. And I practiced that speech, probably rewrote it 30 times and practiced it 40 times because I wanted it to be just so. I was in the restroom before the speech began, going over it just that one more time.
Right.
So, in public speaking, a lot of people try and wing it. There's a book that this author says less than 2 people spend more than 2 hours on a speech. And that's what I say on my first day of public speaking class. You know, you'll spend more time practicing than you actually will on writing the outline. And they spend more time on the outline than they do on the speech. And that's not how it goes. So,
Absolutely. I teach people they have to practice 1 hour for every 2 minutes, just like
well,
Toastmaster teaches. And that means a 30-minute talk, that's 15 hours. So, and that's just a start. But something like a TED Talk, you have to, how long would you recommend someone practice for it?
like I said, if I did it 30 to 40 different times, and you're saying that each of that is, 10 minutes, you're looking at a lot of, hours.
Yeah. Now, how
And
long is a TED Talk? Is it 18 minutes or is it
yeah,
less?
it's about an 18-minute speech, but sometimes they have certain segments where they might just cut you in for a 5 minute or a 6 minute. It really depends on what's going on, what's happening. But continuing, the other mistake that he made was he went a million miles a minute.
Talking too fast.
And so when you listen to the TED speech, it's like I'm talking to you and we're just having a conversation. And that's really what it is all about. I mean, TED isn't really specifically looking for bona fide speakers, step right up, get your place in line. They're looking for that message that they've never heard before, that once in a lifetime story that's never been quite told,
A
that
little,
really connects to your heart.
right, right. It'll change lives, absolutely. And I would say one of the best ways that people can get ready for a TED Talk is look at some of them, go to the internet and look at them. And also always remember TED Talks are called TED Talks. So like you said, it's a conversation. It's not a TED speech. It's not a TED presentation. It's a TED Talk. So make sure it's conversational. All right. So somebody has their topic now, Rosalyn. They know what they're going to talk about. Now, how do they go about to actually get booked as a TEDx speaker?
Okay, well, you got your talk, you know what you're going to speak about. So the next step is you have to look at the different TED venues that are out there. You got to look and see what they're looking for, because not everybody is looking for your topic. They're
Good.
not.
How do they look for TED Talk venues? That's key right there. That's super key.
Right. You got to go to you got to go to TEDx.com, because less than 0.25% will actually make it on the TED stage, and so the TEDx is the venue. You go to TEDx, and you're going to see where they're happening all over the world, and you want to pull up these different events and see what the topic is, so that you're going to put an application together. And what I like to say is, if you're going to put an application together, you might as well talk to someone like myself, so they can tell you the do's and the don'ts of what you need to put in that application and things like that. A
Amen.
huge part is how you title that talk, And so I've done some research, that I've got some great knowledge and some skill on how to do that. And a big part is your presentation, the 2-minute video. Now, they say that it doesn't have to be professionally done, but you got to make sure that you answer the questions. And there's one way to make sure that you answer the question. That's you give it to someone who knows what you're looking for, and that's how I help people. And then there's the gestures and the movements and the visual aids that you have. It's not an examination of all your photographic excellence, of all your favorite pictures of the family and you, like you do for a BNI meeting. Well, let me tell you about myself and my family and my friends. No, it is the one message that is going to change the world.
Amen to that. Now, stay tuned, because Rosalyn's going to share her information at the end of this podcast. So make sure that you stay and listen to it, because again, like anything in life, you don't want to just try to do it yourself. You get one chance. There's no do-overs in public speaking. There's no do-overs in the audition. There's no do-overs. So make sure that you're stepping out right and get a professional to help you. Don't try to do this yourself. So stay tuned, and you'll get Rosalyn's information. All right. So now we have our topic. We know how to get a TED Talk. We know we have to prepare for that TED Talk over and over and over and over again. Now the day comes, we step on stage. What kind of advice can you give us at that time, whether it's dress whether or not we should have PowerPoints, whatever. Now it's the presentation day. What advice can you give us for that $1 million TED Talk?
Okay, well, let's talk about wardrobe first.
Okay.
You want to keep it solid. You don't want to take any distractions.
Right.
It's you're not selling you or any other activities that you might engage in. It's professional. It's professional. Go with a solid color. We all have our colors that we like and we look best. Arvee's a red and I'm a blue, and we strut our stuff, but don't go with any flashy jewelry. Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Keep it simple but professional. Make sure that you've gotten a good night's rest.
Yes. Don't stay out till 1 a.m. like you did.
Don't stay out till 1 a.m. working on that newsletter. Not a good idea.
Plenty of
and
rest.
but you want to get that good night's rest. You want to make sure that you have a good breakfast. Don't rush off and just have a donut or something like that to hold you over. You want to have that good balanced meal with that protein and that energy. And don't drink a million cups of coffee. You're going to be on fire. So one of the beautiful things is that they have a coach that will work with you. And I've coached a number of people that will work with you and help you. It's the biggest thing I'd say is practice that visualization. Imagine yourself going out there. Imagine you're getting that $1 million round of applause. See it happening over and over again. Practice taking those deep breaths before you go ahead and do it. And it's saying to yourself the following message: I know that I've done the best that I can do. I'm going to be happy whatever the results are going to be. And I'm really proud that I've got here. How many other people would love to be here? This is my golden opportunity. And I'm going to celebrate the fact that I'm just here. My message is going to be perfect. And if you keep saying that message over and over and over again, you can attain that which you put forth.
That's beautiful, Rosalyn, beautiful. And always remember that message is not for you. It's for the ears of your audience. And that message could change someone's life, their business, or their soul. That's why you're doing it. That's why we do a TEDx talk, not just to step on a TEDx stage. There's lots of stages out there, but really to reach millions of people. And that's exactly the answer to the next question is, how do you reach millions of people? By doing a TEDx talk.
That's right. It's you reach them by, it's a door opener. I mean, I was talking to a gentleman I talked to years ago, and they're like, well, the last time I talked to you, Rosalyn, you had one book. What do you mean? You got 3 books and you got 3 TEDx and you got your own show and you got your own series and you got this and you got that. They used to say, and you used to say it, and everyone used to say it in the speaking world, the key to success is getting your own book. That is your ticket to go ahead and speak on a stage. You are credible. Woohoo!
It does open some doors. It does. But again, the better speaker you are, the more doors are going to open, even without a book. But when you have 3, more doors open. So you had my books by Solutions Press, as well as one of your very first books.
Oh, my books are always by Solutions Press. Let's give a shout out to Solutions Press, your #1 source to get your book made. God bless it. This guy is, yes.
That is Lee Pound, who is my book coach. And I know he's helped you, Rosalyn. So we'll give a shout out to Lee Pound.
Go, Lee, go.
So I see your latest book behind you. So let's talk about that. A message for tomorrow's leaders. Tell us a little bit about what that's about, Rosalyn.
Certainly. A message for tomorrow's leader was inspired by the academic senate who wanted, before the pandemic hit, to maintain more diversity in the classroom, to keep those students attuned. And so they were going to have a poster contest. And I said, well, I know lots of people. What if I invited them to my college classroom and they were able to come out and speak to my students? That would be beautiful. Right. Well, the pandemic hit, and I got one person in my classroom. His name was Coach Knock. And he came out to my high school, and it's, his thing is in there. But it's a beautiful book of 46 interviews of people from 12 to 88. There's a young humanitarian whose name is AJ Stunts, who really is everything that I say that he's a stunt car rider. He's a musician. He's an author. He's out on every holiday that's out there, whether it's Black Lives Matter or Cinco de Mayo or giving food to the homeless in a shelter that he does each and every week. He says his word and he lives his word. And at the other end of the spectrum, there's the effervescent Miss Pink Lady, 88 years young, Robbie Motter, and all sorts of other people in between telling their tales. So I like to think about it. It's a career book. You want to figure out what you want to do next? Here's a great way to look at it. The contributors in the book answered 3 questions. It was, number 1, tell us how the pandemic has been for you. What do you think about race relations, the riots, and what advice would you give to people? And so that was what the book was based on.
Nice. Well, that's something that's timely right now. So, Rosalyn, if someone wants to get a hold of you, get a hold of your book or whatever, how would they get a hold of you? What's the best way?
Well, the best way is, you see my name at the bottom of the screen there. You put that in any social app and you will find me. You can find me at Rosalyn Kahn LinkedIn. You'll find me at Rosalyn Kahn Coaching and Professional Speaking, Rosalyn Kahn on Instagram, my own YouTube channel. I just made that big 108. I am official.
Woo, woo.
You know what that one's all about. You've done that one before.
So we will put that in the show notes. So you will have all that information in the show notes and be able to get a hold of Rosalyn. And again, her last name is spelled Kahn. So make sure.
Yes. Oh, I've got something else. I've just been announced another upcoming book. It's called Ways of Happiness. And I'm going to be talking about how do we overcome those negative emotions.
Ooh, well, that's timely. It could never be better than right now. Well, Rosalyn, our time together is ending, but I would like you to just share your last $1 million ideas with our listeners today.
Well, I'm going to take an idea that I heard from someone else, and that is this one. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you're absolutely enough. Too many people compare themselves to other people and they think, I gotta do. But realize there was 4 trillion cells that came to make you the person that you are. And simply that you won the lottery and you made it to this earth today. Celebrate, because every day is a blessing. We never know when our last day might come. So make this day the absolute best it can be. My name is Rosalyn Kahn. Please follow me on all the social media, and I hope that you have a beautiful and blessed day. And Arvee, thank you so much for making this opportunity to come and connect with me.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much, Rosalyn, for being on the show and for sharing all of your $1 million ideas on just speaking and becoming a TEDx speaker. And I encourage all of you listening, it's time to do a TEDx talk. It's time to get trained to speak. And once you're trained, reach out to Rosalyn and do that TEDx talk, because that will immortalize you and your talk forever and ever and give you probably as much credibility as having your own book. So make sure that you put that on your goals and take action and reach out to Rosalyn. So again, Rosalyn, thank you so much for being here and sharing all your wisdom and all your insights and all your love and all your compassion and everything for people, for speaking. Really appreciate it. So that's our show for today. And we'll see you back here next Wednesday on the $1 Million Speaker Podcast. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.